Hey, glad to be back. It's another episode of the Get Made podcast. We made it through year one, y'all. It's a new year. And to be honest with you, when this is released, I'm actually 2 days away from the actual date that I started recording and started releasing the Get Made podcast, January 8th, 2024. That was the first day that we released our first episode, and here we are a year later. And I definitely want to say I appreciate the support over this year. Looking for some great things from the great guests that I had last year. Looking to have some of those guests back and some more great guests. Also looking forward to actually bringing in a couple of repeating guests to talk about several different issues during the course of the year. So this is going to be a great year. I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in always on Monday at 7 p.m. All right. That's on Facebook and on YouTube. All right. I'm going to jump into this podcast because I really want to tackle this subject at the beginning of this year. So for the last 3-4 years that I can count, and they gave it a name at some point, but we've been dealing with something called the gender wars, right? It really made no sense to me why grown folks are talking about each other, men and women are talking about each other the way that they are. But I do realize something, and I listened to someone on TikTok maybe about a couple of weeks ago that really just hit me. I'm like, bam, light bulb moment, right? I'm like, bam, there it is. That's the problem. Gender wars really amount to trauma bonding. And what do I mean by that? You know, trauma bonding is really this exaggerated connection that people do based upon maybe some hurts, some unhealed pain, and some conflicts, and even being manipulated or having some emotional deregulation, right? And this is how they are making these connections. They're forming together based upon these couple of these areas. And so I want to look at a couple of them, and then we're going to talk about maybe some solutions. And I got something I want to introduce to everyone at the end of this podcast, in this episode. So one, we're going to look at this trauma bonding based upon unhealed trauma and or connection based upon unhealed trauma, right? There's no doubt that men and women and men suffer some serious situations from the other person when it comes to relationships, right? Some men do some real bad things to some women, and some women do some real bad things to some men. But all men and all women are not doing bad things. And then just to heap a whole gender into something, right? When we're really talking about the fringe, we're talking about the outliers of a situation. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say that there's no relationship that's not going to have some issues, that's not going to be, without some things that happens, right? But the reality of it is, when we start getting into this and we start looking for connections and we start talking to other people, we really are talking from a position of hurt. And when people start getting into the whole idea of jumping on social media to really be in a position of talking about what somebody else did, or what this person want, or what this person don't want, and what this man is like, or what these women are like, and we just group a whole category of people. We just group a whole thing of people in. It really makes no sense. And the reality of it is that it's more of us people who are Black Americans, African Americans, people of color, especially men, people who are in our group who do it, right? You don't really hear a whole bunch of, other groups of people talking about each other the way that we talk about each other. And we air all our stuff out on social media, right? We just air all our stuff out on social media, right? And we're trying to really exercise, is trying to release that hurt by giving this narrative of what another group of people are doing, right? What a group of women, Black women are doing, what a group of Black men are doing. And so we are setting ourselves up for what looks like some bad things. And the reality of it is, nobody's leaving the relationship game, right? That's the crazy part about it. It's not like checking out of the relationship game. You just not exercising some hurt until you no longer hurt, or you feel like you done finally got over it. Then you move on, and then you leave a whole trail of foolishness behind you as you continue to do something else, right? And so then you institute, or you instigate a whole situation, right? You instigate a whole situation. And then because you hurt, because your father, baby daddy didn't do this, or your baby mama doing this, or whatever, right? It's whatever. And for the life of me, I don't know how anybody over the age of 35, 40, and I'm going to say 45, having these type of conversations, right? I can see how somebody who's probably in their early 20s, maybe in their early 30s, having this type of conversation, because really they still trying to figure it out. But those who've been around for a while, why are we talking about what these women are doing or what these men are doing when we really should be checking out self? What am I doing? What did I do to be able to bring this into play? What was I doing to get me caught up? I know we always talking about pointing the finger, but you got to remember 3 are pointing back at you. What did I do? How did I play myself, right, into this situation? And I am responsible for my healing. No one is responsible for my healing. Me getting on here talking about what a group of women or these women or whatever are doing isn't going to solve my problem. It really isn't. And let alone what I'm going to be able to help somebody else out with. Because what really takes place is that when we start having these conversations, really, to be honest with you, a lot of these conversations that's really being held online like this is really somebody just trying to get you to give them a bunch of likes, to be in a position of commenting on their stuff. So therefore, if you're like on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, they're trying to get paid off of you, right? They try versus helping you. They're not helping you get out of a situation. They're actually trying to get you deeper into a situation. Now, if you was going to someone and you were paying them to be able to help you out that situation, okay, that's money well spent, right? That's money well spent. But the negativity that continues to get promoted by these gender wars only amounts to trauma bonding. Because there's somebody, and that's another thing that we're going to talk about here too, is because you're being manipulated. You're being manipulated, you're being used, your emotions are getting used against you. You're jumping on these conversations, you're talking about this, you're talking about that. And a lot of these people who you are actually only are doing it because it's the trendy thing to do. Right? This is a trend. These are, and I'll be glad when this trend is. I am here. I am looking to use 2025 to help stop this trend. I want to stop, and I'm praying that there are going to be other people out there who are just going to be as interested as I am to make sure that this trend stops, because it's doing us no good. And here's the thing. You are then getting to, because men and women are still getting together. And people are getting together even online. They forming up groups. You know, men and women are having conversations. They still having conversations. They following each other around, having these conversations. And only thing you're doing is drawing more conflict. Is you just promoting more conflict, right? And so now you got this high conflict personality, and you're snapping here and you're snapping there, they're snapping back, and you're doing this and you're doing that. Then you get people who just go to acting real ignorant as all outdoors. They're doing all this cursing, they're doing all this fussing and cursing at each other, they cursing each other out, they talking about each other, and they talking about it, they just going so deep that it doesn't allow for a person to heal. How is that helping someone heal? How are you pointing to someone and say, hey, look, maybe what happened to you in your relationship wasn't a good thing. I get that. Maybe you can read up on some books, or you can get you some help, get you a therapist, or get you a coach, or get you whatever you think you might need, someone who's professional, who understands this situation, to help you out of this situation, to help you out of this mindset. Because only thing you actually really continue to do is you actually developing and cultivating more abusive behavior. When it really comes down to it, you actually just promoting more abusive behavior. Because here's what's going to happen. You got two people, you got a man and a woman, they're online, you got a group of people online, you got camps drawn up, you got lines drawn in the sand, you got camps drawn up, and then next thing you know, you got somebody who's then going to talk reckless to a woman, talk out of the side of their face to a woman. Then you're going to have a woman, or it can be the other way around. You're going to have a woman who's going to talk out of the side of her face to a man. And then next thing you know, now you got everybody talking out the side of their face to each other. You got more hostility growing. And only thing that's going to do, I mean, you guys are online. Half of you are not really meeting each other in person anyway. Right? You're forming up these things online. This one person's in Atlanta, this other person who's talking in California, all these people. You got these people in Florida, you got somebody in Texas, you got somebody in Ohio, you got people all over the country. You got just forming up, you getting in these lives, you getting in these groups, and you having these type of conversations. And the only thing you're doing is taking that behavior back to the people who are the closest to you. Because that's what's really happening. And so now you sitting here, and you're home, you're here in Atlanta, you got people who are around you, you're talking reckless to them, you're talking reckless to family members, you're doing this, you're doing that, because you don't know how to cap all that in the first place. And so the hurt that you are experiencing, you continue, it's like hurt people continue to hurt people. And that's what's happening. And that's the trauma bond. Oh, I'm down with you because we got the same narrative. I don't like them ninjas. Oh man, them sisters, they be tripping. Them women, they be tripping. They be doing this, they be doing that. And then next thing you know, we start getting into some of these other conversations, 50-50 conversation. The I don't need no woman who got a whole bunch of kids conversation, and all these old type of other conversations that really serve no purpose within our community. Because contrary to popular opinion, a lot of people who are having these conversations probably came from positions where they probably were in single family households, or their mothers or fathers got with somebody else and somebody else helped raise them, either a bonus mother or stepmother or stepfather helped raise them, helped do various different things. And so you have all these type of things that really is not the reality for this community, for our community. And we're looking at other people's communities, and we're glorifying somebody else's community to some extent. These people overseas are looking like, oh my God, they just was raised in a particular way and all that, or, they always look out for their women. They do this and they do that without the understanding that they just don't tell you their issues. They got them. They just ain't online talking about them. They got enough sense to keep their dirty laundry in the house. They're not going out here showing their raggedy behind, talking about stuff that they have no business talking about. They're not bringing shame upon their community. And so you got people who are looking at us, okay, and it gets even crazier when you're talking about real talk. You're talking about the Muslims who start doing it, who's actually gravitating and going towards those so-called gender wars. How are you going to have a gender war with somebody that's all you got is each other? It's all you got. It's really who you have is each other. Women have men and men have women. It's all you got. And then so you're not working on the healing aspect. Somebody done you wrong. More likely, you learn wrong behavior for somebody above you. It's somebody you saw your mother be a particular way, you saw your father be a particular way, and you saw your uncles and your aunties be in a particular way, your grandmother, your grandparents be a particular way. And I'm not going to sit there and say all of it was healthy, all of it was good, but it is what it is. But you don't have to continue to perpetuate that cycle. You don't have to keep that cycle going. How you do something now is you look at you. Where am I wrong here? What can I do differently? How can I choose differently? How can I then put out what it is that I'm looking for without having these exaggerated expectations? Knowing that real talk, knowing that more than likely it's going to be some women who have kids that's going to be a viable choice for you. No, she's going to be a viable choice for you, especially if you got kids already. She may be a viable choice. It's going to be a brother who ain't making six figures. Real talk, 85% of men, black men, make under $100,000. Really around about $60,000 to $70,000. Under that. That's statistics. I ain't bringing out my behind. That's statistics. So therefore, you already sitting there looking at yourself like, what is going to happen for me, or what is my viable choices here? And then you're going to get online, going to start joining in these reindeer games, talking about what these men are like. He's talking about what these women are like, and all this old foolishness here. And you do nothing but continue to push on to the generation behind us even more foolishness. Well, you got the younger generation now, this, I guess they call it this Generation Z. They don't even want to be married. That's not how the game goes for the Muslim. They don't even want to be married. But they see how we have done certain things. The people who are older, their older brothers and sisters, and their aunties, their uncles, their mothers, their fathers, their grandparents. They see how we have done it, and they don't want no part of it. They want no part of it. And then now we got to figure out how we need to change that narrative. Because if we don't, we're going to continue to keep sliding. Continue to keep sliding. Continue to keep sliding. And it's not going to do us any good. Then you want to know why people don't want to be in, the masjids or the churches or whatever it is. And they're not looking for religion and spirituality to really kind of give them guidance and lead the way. Why? Because the institution that is a spiritual or religious institution, there's no respect in it. There's no honor. You're not honoring it. You're not honoring it. Why? Because you got hurt by somebody who was ignorant and didn't know any better, and they hurt you. And you didn't decide, you know what? Maybe that was my bad. Maybe, you know what? I can't make excuses for them, but I got to move on from that. I have to heal from that. And you're not healing. And you want to know the real thing? You don't know how to heal. You know, I heard of a movie once upon a time, it was a movie back in the day. Michael J. Fox and Michael Douglas was in this movie called The American President. And they was having this dialogue, Michael J. Fox and Michael Douglas. And Michael J. Fox told him because Michael Douglas was not doing something he needed to be doing to show leadership within, as the president, he needed to show leadership. And the statement that the man made was, in the absence of water, people will drink sand. And with this gender war thing, that's what we're doing. We're drinking sand. We're drinking sand. Now, y'all know, just like I just know, there's no way in hell you can drink sand. But there's no way in hell you can be having these gender wars. There's no way in the world I can be pointing at somebody and just knock off a whole community, a whole gender of people and say ain't none of them no good. Or majority of them ain't no good. Man or woman. And I ain't gonna sit here and act like in my lifetime, I ain't been hurt. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm probably gonna hurt some women myself. And the only thing I can do in that is any one of them listen to me from my past today, if you check it out in, hey, I'm sorry. That's all I can say. That guy, I'm not him now. And I hope you was able to find somebody who can treat you the way that I couldn't. And I hope and pray that you were able to have some success in your life. And some women that I know who I used to deal with, they have. And so have I. Because I've been hurt too. But I'm not going to sit here and blame, these back in the day when rap music got real crazy, and that's when they started calling women all type of bitchs and all that. And it was just easy to say, come out their mouth. And women are scandalous and all this old type of stuff here. It wasn't cool then. And it's not cool now. And all men are dogs and all this old type of stuff here. It wasn't cool then, and it's not cool now. And that was kind of some of the beginning of the gender wars, maybe 30 years ago. And we still doing it? That's just like me looking at men walking around I can't even see, but you sit there talking about men who walking around with their pants, pants unbuckled and they ain't got no belts on, their pants still sagging and all that. They still doing that? And y'all still having gender wars. And real talk, majority of people who were talking about it back then, 30 years ago, got kids less than 30 years old. So they was in relationships. They couldn't keep themselves out of a woman. They couldn't keep their legs closed from a man and all this old type of stuff here. Don't sit here and tell me that men and women are problems. Don't sit here and tell me you're a problem, or you just got a serious weakness. I tend to believe that we just been moving on a lot of ignorance. And that's okay. Ignorance is okay. Stupidity is something else. Ignorance is okay. Ignorance sometimes is just a matter of lack of information, lack of knowledge. I don't believe ignorance is a bad word. But sometimes it's just a lack of knowledge. When it becomes stupid, when you don't try to find out and do something better. And you ain't got to have this, I got to just affirm myself or all this old type of stuff here, because at that point that you still not getting the picture. Still not getting it. You substituting something now. It has to be some healing. And the healing start with education. That's how the healing starts. With the removal of ignorance. That's how we start healing. And so I really want to take this time on this first episode of this new year, this new calendar year. I want to be able to take this episode to say, hey, look, I'm not joining in the reindeer games. But some of us who don't understand that phrase there, I'm not joining in on that foolishness. You're not going to get that from Hassan. You're not going to get that from the Get Made podcast. And the MADE is the Manhood Accountability Development Enrichment. It's all about building manhood, accepting accountability, demanding accountability, right? Promoting development and providing tools for enrichment. That's what this is about. This is our recommitment to this is my recommitment to the mission. This is me continuing to reiterate the mission. And I'm asking everybody to continue to join me in this mission. Join us as we continue to grow. And I'm doing something for a male counterpart to call us to account. Hey, it got to be a sister out there who's going to do it for the women. And don't get mad. Don't get mad at me if I'm calling you to the table, brothers. I'm calling to the table, sisters. Don't get mad at me, and don't get mad at somebody else who's trying to call you to the table as well. Especially when they're trying to do it from a position of giving you information, not just rhetoric, not just sound bites, not just clickbait, all this old type of stuff here, but they're trying to give you real information. It's not a 15-second, a 30-second clip. You know, we are talking about how we can do something real. We can set, if it's a trend, we can set new trends. We don't have to keep following these trends. We can set new trends on things that we can do differently, how we can show up differently. You know, I don't have to keep being that. Don't have to keep being him or her. I can be a responsible, respectful, dignified person who then continues to promote integrity, dignity for not only myself, but for my sisters, for my other brothers, anybody that's involved. I can continue to kind of do this here. And that's what I'm looking to do in this coming year. And I'm asking you guys to join me in this mission. Share this information out. When you hear people coming to you with that information, don't indulge in it. If you ain't got nothing good to say, remain silent. As Muslims, we understand that this is from a narration from our prophet. If you got nothing good to say, remain silent. Don't keep adding to the ignorance. Don't keep adding to it. Because real talk, for those of you who don't realize this, your contribution to that ignorance, that's going to be on you on the day that it counts the most. If you're not speaking life into something and you speaking negativity and things like that, that's going to be on you. That's getting you are being recorded with that. And if you got no regret and nothing, then you're going to do what you're going to do. You have no shame in what it is you got going on, then you're going to do what you want to do. But for those of us who do have a little shame, who has some type of, emotional intelligence about themselves, or who are trying to, then, let's get on board with this thing here. Let's get on board with this. Let's kill this gender war situation. Let's have real constructive conversation. If it's something that I don't like about something that, I've seen a sister or my sisters are doing, okay, hey, look, let's have a conversation. Not trying to be at you like this, but hey, how do you get to that position right there? And okay, if they start coming with the conflict, well, look, I'm not really trying to be confrontational with you or anything in nature there. But hey, I'm just trying to have a real dialogue with you. And same things for you, sisters with brothers. You want to have a real dialogue? Have a real dialogue. But the accusations and talking at one another is not working. It's not working. And real talk, we got kids coming behind us. We got young people coming behind us. And I'm telling you, if we don't change it around, it only gets worse. It only gets worse. It only gets worse. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to die on any of that. Because I do understand that there is life after this. There's no YOLO around. You only live once. I don't know who came up with that, but you know, life continues. It just continues on at a different phase. Life continues. So we have to really kind of get away from that and have some understanding of what it is that we can do differently, how we can do it differently, what can make us successful as a group, as a people, as a community, what can have us good. It's not about the likes. You know, yeah, I want people to like my stuff and share my stuff because I think it's some good stuff to share. It's some positive, uplifting, it's some enriching stuff to share. Yeah, I want that. Just like I go and get information and I share and stuff that I think is important. I think that's good. You know, I hear things people saying, man, that brother got a point. Well, that sister got a point. You know, I think that's important. But we have to infuse life into what we got going on. Right now, it's a lot of death. It's a lot of negativity. It's a lot of killing of the mind. When I say killing of the mind, killing the mindsets is a dump. It's a dumping of mindset. You know, there's another word that's being used, trauma dump. You know, that's what some of this stuff amounts to. Not only just amounts to trauma bonding, but also amounts to trauma dumping. I don't want to keep introducing new terms because next thing you know, somebody gonna go around all year talking about trauma dumping. You know, just like you're saying, narcissism and everything else, they're gonna start just using words. You know, find out what these words mean, right? So what these phrases mean, before you just go using them all willy-nilly, right? But I'm saying that we have to get beyond the trauma. And what is the trauma? It's hurt. And when you say hurt people, I can't talk life into you if I'm not talking into myself. You know, anybody that done me dirty in the past, you know what, man, I'd have moved on from you. You know, I wish you nothing but good. I'm not holding myself up for that. You know, but all in the same token, I had to learn how to do that. I had to go and get information. I had to understand that, look, something's up with you, bro. You know, I don't care if you are older, you know, you are on the backside of life. You can still do something different. What is it you're trying to do different? Okay, what is the information that you need in order to do something different? Okay, that's what I'm at. I'm seeking knowledge to the cradle to the grave. Right, that was one first thing they first told me when I first became Muslim. You know, the Muslim is somebody who seeks knowledge from the cradle to the grave. You know, I don't know if that was a whole NOI statement, or I don't know what that was, right? But because it really it's not an authentic hadith or anything. I think the narration, I can't even say the word right. It's not a genuine narration, right? But nevertheless, it's still some real in it. We have to always be lifelong learners. That's how we get beyond the hurt and the trauma. And that's how we then do something different. You know, you've been divorced 2-3 times. Okay, it is what it is. It didn't work. Try it again. But going and understanding where you are in a situation, where you might be, and then be patient upon looking for, don't be so thirsty. Part of your problem, don't be so thirsty. Just trying to take your time, and it may not be everything you want. Like I was listening to some guy was talking the other day, and he was, women, I want y'all to hear this because it was kind of funny to me. And he made a point. He said, look, women are looking for this particular man. 85% of men are not even in that category. All right. And so from that 15%, half of them who are in that category are already married. Right. So you already knocked that down. Then you got a man, then you got somebody say, I want to be 6'2" and 6 foot or higher. Okay, that's going to already eliminate another 3 to 5%. So by the time you really get to the man, you got a pool of about 0.5% of the men. Right. And you got all these women trying to vie for this 0.5% of men. Right. It is what it is. Right. It is what it is. It's just that person ain't really, he ain't there. That person you looking for may not be there the way you want him to be. Right. Just like for some men, some women are not going to be in that same situation you would want her to be. Right. Every woman ain't going to, have this banging body all the way up until she's 60, 70 years old or whatever. You know what I mean? And she may not be this so-called submissive, woman, and where, she got the fufu thing. I don't know if anybody know Coming to America, this fufu thing, whatever you like. She ain't gonna be on that. Every woman ain't gonna be on that. She may have some qualities of it, but she's not just gonna be fully, that's TV. Right? That's TV. That's a movie. All right. It made a lot of money at the box office, but it ain't real. All right. I'm just saying, you have to have realistic expectations. And then you have to, and maybe then after seeing certain things, maybe even refine your expectations. I'm not saying you got to settle for anything. I'm saying you have to have a realistic expectation and maybe even refined expectation. But you don't just have to accept anything, men or women. You just don't have to accept anything so you can be with somebody. So maybe you just might need to be by yourself. And that's going to be okay too. It might just be that might just be where you are. And I'm just sitting there saying, we have to be in a position of saying, this is what it is. This is what we got. This is how I climb out of my situation with information, with education, with implementation of these things that I have learned. And only then, and with a whole lot of prayer. I'm not going to excuse that. You got to have a whole lot of prayer in that. But you got to know what you're praying for and how to. It's just the wishful thinking. Sometimes we use prayer as wishful thinking. And then you want to know why it ain't working out for you. Because your education is wrong. Your edification is wrong. Now we just have to start doing something about it, doing something different. I'm saying all my people who are 50 and over, you have a job. You are an elder in this community. You are charged with the people who are charged with the people who are younger than you, to give them information that's going to allow them to be successful in life. You have to pass that information that you've gained over the years back to those who are under you. But that still means that you have to be educated yourself. Not only your life experiences, but the education of learned materials that you have learned from. Being able to Articulate yourself to those who are younger than you, giving them a little bit more information, guiding them, mentoring them, or whatever you want to call it. Men and women. Got to do something. We got to do something different. We have to do something different. And we got to see that, the kids and the young adults who are coming up behind us, that they have the information. We can't be shy. We can't be trying to just rush out over them. You don't know because I'm older than you type of thing. We have to still teach them to have dignity and respect. Because one thing that I've seen with these gender war situations was really happening to younger people or young adults are not having respect for older adults. I see them talking to elders in a very rude fashion. Why? Because they ain't seeing you respect each other. They ain't seeing you respect each other. And so they in this day and time when there's already a high sense of entitlement that's going on out here anyway, they don't feel like they got to talk to you a particular way. They don't feel like they got to respect you. I'm only respecting those who respect me. That's not how it works. But that's what the gender wars are setting up. Y'all don't even see the fallout. This thing is bigger than just you talking about men and men talking about women. This thing is bigger. And I'm just trying to pull your coat to what's happening as an elder in our community. Trying to pull your coat to what's happening. So, thank y'all for hearing me today. I'm really passionate about where we're going. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm perfect. And I done had my coat pulled a time or two in my lifetime, and even recently, I had my coat pulled. And that's okay. Because I only want to be better. I only seek to want to be better. And I only want to make sure that, more importantly, my Lord is going to be pleased with how I'm showing up in front of him on the day that it counts the most. So get ready for some great things coming out this year. Again, grounded masculinity is all about, being consistent, being, competent, being consistent, being congruent, making these connections and having care, right? We still want to make sure that we understand this grounded masculinity as brothers. We're still moving with this grounded masculinity movement, but also in this, we want to make sure that we are doing what it takes to make sure that we taking a good proper leadership role. Is from this whole traditional manhood understanding that the Western culture has taught us what manhood is supposed to be, but it's something that's real, reasonable, and logical. All right. So just want to let you guys know something too. I have my first book that I actually published. This one, I published this one on my own this time around, right? And, I'm happy about it. I should be able to put a link this week. It's an ebook right now. I'm waiting to get my edits together so I can put it in as a paperback. So for those of you, some of my people here, I still love a book in your hand. You can't read it from your phone or your tablet yet. You ain't on that type of time, right? So I want to give you the book too, right? But I want to make sure that I get this thing together. But I do have it in an ebook. The book's called Taming the Storm, Understanding and Overcoming High Conflict Personality for a Peaceful Life. Of course, it's by Hudson Clay. It's on Amazon. I guess that's Kindle. And so actually I'm trying to look at potentially getting my own Shopify account and put it up on Shopify. And so check it out. In the book, I have, want you to know in the book, I have a pre and post assessment about high conflict personalities, where a lot of high conflict personalities come from, how we get it started, how we get engulfed into high conflict personalities. And also in the book is a workbook that comes with it as well, or the book is combined within the book that then gives you some tools on how to do something different. You know, this book has been a book in the making for a little while now. I'm pleased. I'm happy about it. And hopefully you guys will support me. Again, check it out. It's on Amazon. I guess that's Kindle because right now it's in ebook form. And I think the price of it is like $9.97 at the book right now in ebook. So check me out. You know, sold a few copies so far. You know, I hadn't really put it out, published it out there yet. A few people know. Some people picked it up. By all means, please continue to support me. Got some things coming down the pike that's going to be interesting for the middle of the year. I'm just happy. This is going to be a good year. This is going to be a blessed year. This is going to be a fantastic year. If everything goes well, and if it doesn't go the way I wanted to go, it's still going to be good. Right? It's still going to be good. That's just I'm just speaking into existence. You know, as I was once told, my word is my dua, right? So my word is my supplication. And I'm just going to put that out in space. That just going to make this thing happen. So with that, check this book out. Again, I guess I'm going to put it in a link at some time this week. And so you know where it is. And again, follow me on TikTok at, shoot, I don't even know how TikTok long it's going to be. But I'm on TikTok at the Hassan Clay Experience. On Instagram is official Hassan Clay. On YouTube is the Get Made Podcast. And of course, here on Facebook is Hassan Clay. So continue to follow, support. Just continue to follow me and support. And I would definitely appreciate you guys. And by all means, any questions, you can inbox me. You can put it online or put it in comments. By all means, please share your comments, share your thoughts. You know, it's all about how we can work and have a real, reasonable conversation with one another. That's how it starts. Just having a real, genuine, and reasonable conversation with honor and integrity. All right, you have a great one. We're going to see you guys next week. You have a good one.